Hi, I'm Tanya E. Williams, historical women's fiction author, and welcome to the first episode of Historical Fiction 101. If you're new here, I write emotional, immersive stories about resilient women navigating life and complex family dynamics in the 20th century. And if you've been with me for a while, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Today's question is one I hear often from readers, book club members, and even new writers dipping their toes into the genre. What actually counts as historical fiction? The truth is, it depends. You'd think the definition would be simple, but the moment you scratch the surface, it gets interesting fast. So let's take a closer look. Whenever someone picks up a historical novel, they bring expectations, sometimes spoken, other times silent. Some readers expect rich period details, real historical figures, or a storyline rooted closely to documented events. Others are looking for emotional truth over factual accuracy, character-driven stories set against a historical backdrop, or a glimpse into how it felt to live in another time. The beauty of historical fiction is that there's room for all of this and more. But officially, there is a definition most of the publishing world agrees on. The Historical Novel Society, one of the genre's leading authorities, defines historical fiction as a story set at least 50 years in the past or before the author's lived experience. In other words, if you're writing about a time period you didn't personally live through and it's historically grounded, you're likely writing historical fiction. The definition keeps the genre rooted in one key principle. Historical fiction must immerse readers in a time meaningfully different from the present. But the way authors achieve that immersion, that's where creativity enters the stage. And this is where reader questions get fun, because genres overlap all of the time. Is a book set in the 1980s historical? Usually no, unless the author is writing from a significantly later generation. If there's a ghost or a magical twist, is it still historical fiction? Sometimes. Sometimes it becomes historical fantasy. Other times it becomes magical realism. It all depends on the balance within the story. What about a story inspired by real events but with fictional characters? Absolutely historical fiction. This is extremely common and one of my favorite approaches to writing. What if the author moves a few dates around to make the plot work? You guessed it, it's still historical fiction, as long as the core history is respected. These are the kinds of nuances readers love to talk about, and why this genre never stops evolving. So, why do readers seek the answer to what is or isn't historical fiction? Because historical fiction isn't just about what happened, it's about understanding the emotional truth behind a time and place. Readers want to know how much of it is real, what details were researched, how faithfully does the story adhere to the historical timeline. And that curiosity is part of what makes this genre so special. Historical fiction readers aren't just reading a story, they're stepping inside a world, meeting its people, and immersing themselves in its rhythm. As an author, my job is to honor that trust. You may wonder how I defined historical fiction in my own work. In my novels, from Welcome to the Hamilton to The Bootlegger's Betrayal, I strive to blend emotional authenticity, thorough research, immersive atmosphere, and a deep respect for the lived experiences of women who came before us. To me, the heart of historical fiction lies here. How did it feel? What was at stake? What did this moment in history mean for the women navigating it? When a story answers those questions, it belongs in this genre. So, does your definition of historical fiction match the official one? Or is it more about a feeling that a story gives you? I'd love to know. Tell me in the comments, what makes a book feel like historical fiction to you? And if this episode helped clarify the genre or sparked your curiosity, please give it a like and subscribe for more episodes. Next time, we'll look at another question readers ask all the time. How accurate should historical fiction be? Thanks for being here as we explore stories woven in the past. Until next time, happy reading.